Hola mi gente, ¿cómo están? Aquí Alba Mar con ustedes, me pueden decir Alba. El canal se llama Seriela y estamos aquí para hablar de libros, algunos de ellos en español desde Puerto Rico. Hi, my name is Alba Mar, you may call me Alba. The channel name is Seriela and we're here to talk about books, some of them in Spanish from Puerto Rico. I'm here to do my transition from September to October to let you know, after a very busy day, 3 hours it took us to get back from San Juan. But I want to get this done because later on I'll be filming the tags and get all of that done so that I can get down to my reading. Yeah, so what did I read in September? I forgot to let you know, and I'm going to put it up here, that I read Silver People, which was recommended in a comment by Doris at Aldi Books. It's a middle grade book about a young Cuban, 14-year-old Cuban, who joins the workers that are recruited in the West Indies to work on the Panama Canal. And he lies about his age. And instead of being truthful about being 14 years old, he lies. And of course, he's disillusioned when he gets to Panama and sees what actually is happening there. The author of this book is Margarita Engle, who is of Cuban heritage. So the protagonist is 14-year-old Mateo, and the story also follows a young native girl whose name is Anita, who heals people with plants and herbs. And then there is also their friend Henry, who is one of the Jamaican workers. I enjoyed the story. I would get the book and read it for my grandchildren. So yeah, I read that on overdrive. It was a library book that I borrowed. And then I finished, I told you already, Fe en Disfraz by Puerto Rican author Mayra Santos-Febres, who is Afro-Latina, university professor, author, poet, artist. And the story I found was a very, very erotic, yes, a very erotic look at the heritage, the legacy of slavery in our intimate relationships down to this day. Yeah. Then I finished, finally, the unsolved case of Dr. Cornelius P. Rhoads, an indictment by Pedro Aponte-Vazquez. This is a story about Dr. Cornelius P. Rhoads, who in 1931 found himself in Puerto Rico working with the Rockefeller Foundation, Rockefeller Association at that time, treating malaria and studying ways of treating malaria in Puerto Rico. And a letter was found that he had written. He left it on his desk, stating that he had killed 8 patients and had injected cancer cells into many more. And the book, this book, The Unsolved Case of Dr. Cornelius P. Rhoads, an Indictment, is Pedro Aponte-Vazquez's investigations of the cover-up of those murders. And it is very, very exhaustive piece of work with sworn statements, right here, sworn statements, a lot of copies of the documents, and everything that he did to find information, using also the Freedom of Information Act, writing members and representatives of the Rockefeller Foundation and the American Association for Cancer Research. Yeah, there are lots and lots of people who were involved in the cover-up. Among them, the governor of Puerto Rico at that time, who was appointed by the president. The name of the governor was James Beverly. Another participant in the cover-up, according to the author, was the American Association for Cancer Research. Reporters, different reporters on the island and in the mainland, and the Associated Press. Puerto Rico's own Attorney General was part of the cover-up, and two members of the Puerto Rican Association of Doctors. Colleagues at the Presbyterian Hospital, colleagues of Dr. Rhoads, the Rockefeller Foundation, and subsequent U.S. historians who continued with the cover-up, alleging that the investigation had found that Dr. Rhoads was innocent. And according to the information that he has here and the documents that he has here, I believe the author. Now, the criticism that I have of the book is that it needed major proofreading and editing in the English version. I have not read the original Spanish edition, so I don't know how it reads in the original Spanish. But this English version needed an editor, and not only for the syntactical flow of the language, not only because of the grammar, but also because of the structure of the book. It could have been tighter, it could have been easier to grasp and understand. It could have flowed a lot better. And given the importance of the subject, and the importance of medical apartheid, and the importance of documenting and bringing forth evidence of experimentation on human beings that we've seen in history, this book merited that kind of revision, not just for Puerto Ricans, but for every person who wanted to pick up an English version of this piece of history. And especially if you want it to be taken seriously. So, it had to be said, and I said it. Tenía que decirse y lo dije. Okay. The next book that I finished was Ayiti, which is a collection of short stories written by Roxane Gay, which was a beautiful, beautiful experience for me. Roxane Gay, I'm not a story person, first of all. So I was surprised that I sped through this the way I did, because it was so engrossing. And I was completely and swiftly immersed in Haiti. The language is so evocative and so descriptive and so moving that I felt like I was in Haiti with her. The themes that she brings up about the people who live there, how we perceive Haitians, how Haitians perceive their family members and friends who live in the diaspora, be it Canada, be it the United States. The theme of leaving, wanting to leave, wanting to stay, the pain of leaving your family members. All of this in this small book. It was a wonderful, wonderful read. I highly recommend it. And then another story collection that I read and finished, yay, is by J.D. Estrada, who is a booktuber and an author tuber here on YouTube, and Puerto Rican in the diaspora, J.D. Estrada. His collection of stories, essays, and poems in both languages. The first half of the book is in English, and the second half of the book is in Spanish. And I had expected that they would be translations of each other, but no. The collection is in English is an entirely different and stands apart from the Spanish. The English stories are different, the Spanish stories are different. And I'll just mention a few of my favorites. I loved the story of the traffic jam. And we had a doozy of a traffic jam today, 3 hours. And all the way through, I kept remembering JD's story about the traffic jam and how moving that story was. Then he has another story about a boxer. Another very, very moving story. And my favorite poem, which is the name of the book, Veinte, which is a unique, he employs both languages in this poem. And it's not Spanglish, but he does such a wonderful job of using both languages in the poem Veinte. So yeah, like the JD Veinte. Pick it up if you see it. Okay, so that's what and I also finished the 4 Shakespeare plays, the 3 that I had chosen, and then the group read, which was The Two Gentlemen of Verona. I read Coriolanus, which I talked about, Hamlet, Winter's Tale, and the last one, The Two Gentlemen of Verona. And I always enjoy ShakeTube. I enjoyed it last year, and I enjoyed it again this year. What I did realize was that I don't always enjoy all the plays. And maybe I don't have share Shakespeare's sense of humor, especially when dealing with women. So let's just leave it at that. So thank you to everyone who was involved with ShakeTube. I always learn a lot. I'm still reading Truman y Puerto Rico by Collado-Schwarz. I'm already past page 400, and we're smack dab in the middle of the formation of the quote-unquote Commonwealth, which is not a Commonwealth, Estado Libre Asociado, which is not Estado, state, libre, free, or Estado Libre Asociado, associated, none of those things. It's a colony. But anyway, we're right in the midst right now of how that injerto how that invention was concocted. Yeah. And it wasn't concocted here. That's what I'm reading right now. Okay. Also still reading Puerto Rico's Revolt for Independence. Haven't finished it yet, but I will. And it's going fast this time. I started today in the waiting room where we were at. I started again signing in Puerto Rican. I had started it a couple of years ago, so I had to start from the beginning again to refresh my memory. And I was laughing out loud in the waiting room. This is such a humorous and moving memoir by Andres Torres about growing up with two deaf parents, two deaf Puerto Rican parents in the Bronx, New York, and the things that would happen in that family. I'm looking forward to finishing this soon. I really want to finish those and get this video done with and the tags done with. Why? Because I want to start on Victober. And what I am going to concentrate on, despite all the beautiful, wonderful prompts that the hosts have tempted us with, I want to finally finish The Mill on the Floss, which I thoroughly enjoyed starting last year. Last year, I had finished the books that I had started. My first read of Jane Eyre, I was so excited to finally read that. And The Tenant of Wildfeld Hall, which surprised me no end. And what else did I read? I forget. But it was wonderful. I had a great time in Victober last year. And I started this one, but I didn't want to continue until I could dedicate all my attention to it, because I think it merits it. I fell in love with the language. I fell in love with her point of view. I had no idea that George Eliot had such wit about her and such an incisive and sharp way of looking at things. I'm so excited about getting to this book. And if I finish this one, I will definitely read the plays, Oscar Wilde's plays, which I have on script. Then I'll be participating with Dee Dee at Brown Girl Reading on The Count of Monte Cristo. And I made a mistake. I bought this book and I didn't notice that it was abridged. So I'm waiting for the true, real version of The Count of Monte Cristo. And this is going to be a 2-month read, and I've already copied out the schedule in my calendar so that I can keep track. And for Gone with, before that, I'm going to be reading Emma with Judy over at the channel Reader Woman for around the middle of October. We're going to be reading Emma. And then for Gone with the Book, I'll be reading Llamarada by Puerto Rican author Enrique Laguerre, which was written in 1935. You guys are going to be reading for Victober, for Gone with the Book, or anything else you think of. I have other books pending. I know you know that. But we'll talk about that later. Take care. Keep reading. Leave comments down below. I love to talk to you guys. You know that. Cuídense mucho, mi gente. Sigan leyendo. Adiós.